All right, folks. So I'm going to now talk about this octahedron. And today, I'm not going to show you all the other things that I've been working on. I'm just going to talk to you about the octahedron as a model for conversation. Okay, a real conversation. A real conversation is two ways. So this is all based on Bucky's very deep ideas, and it just, it's a river that keeps giving. I've just started, dipping my feet into it. So it's just amazing how much it is generating. Okay, so this is a model for conversation. Okay, imagine this is called an octahedron. Okay, it has 12 sides, 12 sides, and it has 6 vertices. So you can look at it this way. So first I want to show you this. So you can see here, these are the 4 things. And then there are these 2 things on the side. Okay. So imagine this is you and this is the other person. And you're interacting with them through these 4 things. Okay. These 4 things. Right. So this is what is going on, okay? Because this vertices, whenever you use vertices, you can focus on the entities, okay? But when you're looking at these, you can look at what is actually going on between things. That's why I love the sites, focusing on the sites. We've been studying the fourfold vision of seeing that each of us have these 4 aspects, 4 functions. Jung calls it feeling, the red, intuition, thinking, and acting. We can use different words for it. The words that I'm using for this presentation is love, it is the devotion, emotion. This is openness to truth. Okay, so I'm going to call it openness, starting with the O. This is about wisdom, verbalized, explicit, capturing of truth. Explication, so I'm calling it verbalized. Okay, and this is all about the right action. You call it effectiveness, you can call it virtue. So currently I'm using the term loving, open, verbalized effectiveness. Okay, for this presentation, I'm using those 4 terms, LOV. Okay, so that's what I'm using. So these are the 4 aspects of you. Okay, your emotions, your thoughts, your actions, and your intuitions. This is you. And you're talking to this other person right here. They also have these 4 aspects. But you're communicating it through this frame. Okay. One of the deepest observations of Buckminster Fuller is that any system has an inside, outside, and a membrane. So this is inside of you. This is outside. It can be one person or the entire world or your business or your family, anything here outside that you're communicating with. And you're communicating it through this, which is the system boundary. This is the thickness of the system. Okay, so there are 3 things. There is inner, outer, and what is between, the middle. Okay, those are the 3 things. Now, one approach that Bucky took to his life is to focus on this frame, focus on the system. He says, I'm not trying to convince other people to do this or that. He was not trying to push other people to do a particular things. He was saying, what is the proper system of interaction between people? that will make everybody's life better. What is this? Okay, so think of it this way. Okay, I'm going to give you an example, and I'm happy to, take questions afterwards. Okay, I would love to hear what you guys say about this. I want to give you an example. It's me here. I am this. Okay, and you there are this. Okay, whoever you are watching this. And what is this? The system, you can think of it in terms of your computer screen and my computer screen. Okay, this is through which we are interacting. But it is more than that. The way in which Bucky thinks of it is that it's an event. So imagine this entire conversation is this. Okay, it is this system. So I can evaluate this meetup as a system independent of me and a particular you. Let's just look at the system and make sure that it is a good system for you and for me and for any of the yous out there and any of the eyes who are looking at it. So how is it? What do we do in our meetup, right? And I had never thought about it this way. What we're trying to do is that we have authentic respect for each other, love for each other. We actually care about everybody who is here, and we are engaging people that way. We are verbalizing things. We are open to truth, regardless of what we think. If we hear somebody, and that is the ethos that we have, that is there in this system. You can look at it as your screen, but not just the screen, the entire sequence of events of this meetup and how we are conducting, each of us is conducting ourselves in this, which is a very different way of conducting, which is a very specific way of conducting. We are verbalizing it. We are trying to express everything that we think in words. And we are trying to make it effective for all of us. We're trying to say something that will be useful for all of us in all our lives. So we are trying to be effective. We're trying to verbalize. We are trying to be open, and we are trying to be loving at the same time. To the extent to which we succeed, it helps me and it helps you. So that is how you think of this envelope, this membrane through which the interaction is taking place. Now, all of us are different. So some of us will focus on emotions more. Some of us will focus on words more. Some of us are going to focus on applications. Some of us are saying, what are the possibilities of truth? And through this entire sequence of meetup, each of our minds will go through these various things. But to be effective as a system, to be good as a system, we have to accommodate all the variations that are there and learn from each of them. You have, the red thing that will be going through, which is the emotion. When somebody says something wonderful, that is the emotion that is flowing through. It is coming through here. Some of it is the actions that are being taken. Some of it is the words. So things are flowing back and forth through. You can imagine it as, for simplicity, as the computer screen and the sound which is coming through. You see, when you're looking at yourself as a system, you can look at your body, the skin, as the boundary. Are you manifesting what you're capable of? in your body, through your actions, through your words that come out through the air, is what the potential here being reflected by what you're putting out here. You can use different models. When you see what Bucky has done, what Louis Sullivan has done, what you see in Gospel of John, what you see in Bhagavad Gita, it is giving you a model of what this system can be and should be. You are internalizing it and you are expressing it with other people. You're learning from other people what the proper system is going to be. The system is general. It applies not just to a particular me and particular you. It is designed to be useful and effective for anybody. So you need to come up with a way of interacting that is universal. And if you do, then you have a real communication taking place, real conversation. The most important thing here is that you are sending and you're receiving. The receiving is actually as important as sending. Louis Sullivan puts it beautifully. He says, life began to break in upon me. So what is life breaking in upon me mean? That means whatever is outside, I'm letting it come through my skin, my body, to the deepest part of me. This is life breaking in on the inside, and a continuous breaking in from outside and breaking out from inside was to shape his destiny. When you're speaking, you're breaking out to the world, to many such people. X, this is an X. And you are breaking out using this. And a continuous breaking in from outside and breaking out from inside. So conversation is that flow back and forth, actually listening, actually receiving, and then actually speaking out. So conversation is this. This is not as glorious as what actually is happening in all of us. Okay, it is the force is far more. It is far more fluid. It is far more fractal. And there is a lot, this is all kind of light field or sound field if you want. It is the waves, there is all kinds of patterns that are going on. But this is a very simple way of conceptualizing the identity of you, the identity of I, the identity of thou, with the fullest respect. It is the principle of namaste. This is namaste. This is saying the God in me greets the God in you. And you are making your life, this system through which you are interacting with the world, in the image of the greatest thing you can imagine. You're learning from others and you are expressing yourself to others. And that, I think, is what conversation is about at its best. So that is my thought on using this octahedron to think about conversation. It is based on Bucky's ideas as best as I can understand them at this stage. and it brings together two things. It brings together the idea of fourfoldness that I've been working on for some time, and the idea of system, of the inner, outer, and the membrane. So that is these are 12 things. Fourfoldness manifested in the inner part of the system, right here, the outer part of system, what is actually happening, coming to the other person and from the other person, and this frame through which this conversation is taking place. And all these three are real, and all these three are magnificent and important to get it right. So that's what I'm thinking. This is my first attempt to capture this, so would love to hear what you guys think. Go ahead and type exclamation mark if you have any comments. Going to start with Evanik. Evanik, what do you think?
So first of all, I thought that was amazing. I need a whole meetup of that. I think you need to do a whole meetup on conversation in the Octahedral and how to use it. I think the main takeaway I got was in order to have the real conversation, you have to have um, the part where you were talking about speaking is breaking out and expressing yourself, and receiving is breaking in. So I think there's usually in normal conversation either one or the other, and I think to bring it in as the end, and it's not just listening, because sometimes we listen to speak, not listen to just listen, but to really have that person, you know, to listen to what that person is saying and allowing it, like you said, to break in and let it get to the deeper part of you. That's the real conversation. That's the breakthrough. That's how the vulnerability of that. And then to really express how you feel, the vulnerability of that is where the real conversation happens. So that's my takeaway. I think you should do a
Wonderful.
whole meetup. Yep.
Yeah, no, I love the word vulnerability, because that is absolutely the case. Because what you're saying is that I'm open to the world. This is like the openness, that's the virtue. You're saying the world is amazing and I'm open to it, whatever it is. You're not saying that, oh, no, I will listen to it as long as it doesn't say this. No, you're saying you're embracing all of it. So you're vulnerable when you are listening, because you're listening with all your heart. You're also speaking with all your heart, knowing fully well that you know only some things, but in the full confidence. It's the full confidence of saying, look, reality is what it is. I want reality to correct me as fast as possible, and I'm eager, not just willing, but eager to actually let go of things that are not consonant with reality as fast as possible. So it implies, it requires that vulnerability. Vulnerability is simply, vulnerability in this context is saying that I really care about truth and reality more than what I think of myself or any of my products. None of them. I try my best, but I'm willing, I not just willing, but I'm eager to be corrected and to grow. Thank you. Thank you so much. Next up is Joe, followed by Gary. Joe.
Yeah, no, I think it's a fantastic example, and it also shows the power of actually the octahedron as just an example of, like we used it earlier, as how um, uh, the inner outer in the system that's in between, the in out and in between, and how powerful of
Thank you. Thank you, Joe. I feel very bad. It's like you're sick and you're very tired, and I
Yeah.
don't. But I'm glad that you've stayed up. Really appreciate that, and we will continue. Don't worry. I'm going to put this on video, and I'm going to continue talking about it. So thank you, my friend. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Oh, no problem.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, one of the things that came to mind was Ray Dalio's approach to getting feedback.
Yes.
It's very similar that
Absolutely.
you're using it. So that was one of the connections I was going to make.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Joe. Next up is Gary.
Who was that you mentioned, Joe?
That's Ray Dalio. Ray Dalio. The reference here is that Ray Dalio says this is my absolute favorite statement about weakness. He says everybody has weaknesses, and there are 4 things you can do about weaknesses. Number 1 thing, which most people do, is to ignore them, which is the worst thing to do. But if you decide you're not going to ignore them, you have 3 things you can do. 1, you can learn from people who are strong at things where you're weak. Number 2, you can make some improvements in yourself, however modest. And number 3 is you can work around, you can choose a life path where your weaknesses don't affect you as much. And really the primary thing that, as I see it, is that it is working with people who are strong at where you are weak. Because what it does is that's the best context for you to make some improvements. And it's also the best context to make sure that you do division of labor, so you can work with things that you're strong at and let other people work on things that they are stronger at. Go ahead, Gary.
When you were talking, as soon as you said conversation, I was thinking of a seminar I attended it was the book of Jill Scott called Fierce Conversations. Are you guys familiar with that?
Nope.
And so she has like a few premises, and 2 that stood out to me that kind of captured it is the first one actually is that all of our conversations are with ourselves, and sometimes they include other people. And so as you were going through it, I was like, that's the kind of the filter that I was kind of explaining or kind of like running it through. And then when Evan Eek brought up the idea of vulnerability, it kind of like cinched is that what's the conversation, the discrete facts, the words, that's not what's being communicated. What's on display is ourselves, and what we're communicating is our whole being. And that's what takes place in conversation. It's an inherently vulnerable experience, and there's no way around it, just by showing up, whether you say anything or whether you don't. Anyhow, that's kind of what stood out to me, and I really appreciated it. And now I'm like thinking about the membrane and the system in terms of that is all my conversations. Anyhow, it's just want to say thank you.
Absolutely. Great point. I mean, the thing is that, it is a tremendous responsibility to be, it's like most people kind of do this, live almost by habit, not fully aware, like almost asleep. This is all about saying, this entire thing is all about saying that, be aware of yourself. And the beautiful thing is that the simplest way of being aware of yourself is by being open to other people. This is what I learned from, Carl Rogers, the idea of authentic relating. All of us have blind spots. All of us have ideas that we are too much in love with. And all of us have habits of all kinds. Okay, I mean, that's just how, most human beings are, including me. And what happens is that when you are authentically relating to another human being, it does few things. It actually allows you to see, if you're actually seeing the other person, actually receiving, you can say, oh, I thought this, but this person doesn't think that. What's with that? Like, see, what happens is that if you're just thinking about yourself, thinking, you may not even question many of the things that are taken for granted. But by actually engaging with other people and being vulnerable at a deepest level, it allows you to actually notice things about you that you would not otherwise notice, because you have the foil. See, it's a separate point. The structure is different. The functions of the other person are different. And it is challenging because they are thinking different things are important. You're thinking different things are important. The strengths and weaknesses are different, and you're trying to be open to that. So I think it's just it's the most simplest way I find of doing self-improvement, or even self-awareness, because there is a lot of deep commonality between us human beings. So there is this deep commonality, but we have different tracks, different histories. So this allows us to be aware of those things. And what happens is that we are creatures of habit. So many things, both at the emotional level, conceptual level, physical level, gets hardened. And this allows us being open, actually listening, actually hearing, actually receiving, allows us to see variables which you wouldn't see otherwise. Next up is Mike. Mike, what do you think?
I think you're on to something, as usual. At the risk of detracting by adding, there's a science which was sort of alluded to called graph theory, which measures each of those conversation modalities in terms of a resistance to idea flow.
Mm-hmm.
The limit case is shown by your tetrahedron when people are communicating in matching modalities. Now, if in reality people's modalities don't match, and so there's a measurable resistance to idea transformation.
Let me give you an example here. So take, for example, there are people who are focused on, let's say, let's look at it this way. So there are people who are kind of focused on feelings and intuitions. Like most of this is the primary modality on which they're working, they're using in their life. And then there are people who are focused on thinking and application. When they talk to each other, there is a lot of miscommunication, because it's actually like when they're trying to talk to each other, one person is sending a signal like this, and the other person is sending a signal like this. Okay, and they are really not connecting with one another. So one of the advantages of this is that it actually tries to map out different modes, and at least you're aware, saying, okay, I am doing this and the other person is doing this. So at least it doesn't result, otherwise it is complete misinterpretation of each other, of what is going on, and people get angry and people get, and they will say, okay, I don't want to do anything with them. This allows you to say, oh, maybe they're operating like this. So that's a very, very good point.